Being recorded.
Hello, ladies. So as I was watching this video this morning, as I was getting ready, as I was getting ready to start my day at 3 3 3:30 a.m. Okay, I started watching this video, and it just kind of occurred to me that this is the exact same problem that told me it's all males. Huh? I want you to listen to this.
Children starving, and an entire civilization on the edge of collapse. For almost 14... This isn't Islam versus the West, or religion versus secularism. This is Islam versus Islam. It's leaving cities in ruins, governments paralyzed, children starving, and an entire civilization on the edge of collapse. For almost 1,400 years, Sunni and Shia Muslims have coexisted under a fragile truce. Now that truce is breaking in blood. From Yemen to Syria, Iraq to Lebanon, two Islamic superpowers, Sunni Saudi Arabia and Shia Iran are funding militias, fueling civil wars, and dragging the entire Muslim world into a conflict that can no longer be contained. And while governments talk peace on paper, the reality on the ground is far darker. Because this war isn't just geopolitical, it's theological. And you can't broker peace between people who think the others are heretics. The worst part? There's no clear villain, no side that's innocent. Just millions caught in the crossfire of a war they didn't start, and may never escape. In this episode, we'll show you how an ancient religious split has mutated into a modern civil war, one that's tearing nations apart from within, and why the collapse it's creating might already be irreversible. But this didn't start with bombs. It started with a funeral. The year 632, Medina, the Arabian Peninsula. The Prophet Muhammad lies dead. No heir named, no succession plan. Within hours, his closest followers are gathered in a cramped room, voices rising. Some say leadership should go to Abu Bakr, Muhammad's most trusted companion and man chosen by consensus and wisdom. Others refuse. They insist the mantle belongs to Ali, Muhammad's cousin, his son-in-law, the father of his grandchildren. Leadership must stay in the bloodline. What starts as a political debate becomes something far more dangerous, a theological divide that will bleed for 1,400 years. The Abu Bakr supporters become known as Sunni Muslims, people of the Prophet's tradition. Today, they make up 85% of more than... What starts as a political debate becomes something far more dangerous, a theological divide that will bleed for 1,400 years. The Abu Bakr supporters become known as Sunni Muslims, people of the Prophet's tradition. Today, they make up 85% of more than 2 billion Muslims. The Ali supporters become Shia Muslims, the Prophet's grandchildren. Some say leadership should go to Abu Bakr, Muhammad's most trusted companion and man chosen by consensus and wisdom. Others refuse. They insist the mantle belongs to Ali, Muhammad's cousin, his son-in-law, the father of his grandchildren. Leadership must stay in the bloodline. What starts as a political debate becomes something far more dangerous, a theological divide that will bleed for 1,400 years. The Abu Bakr supporters become known as Sunni Muslims, people of the Prophet's tradition. Today, they make up 85% of more than 2 billion Muslims. The Ali supporters become Shia Muslims, the party of Ali, a minority, persecuted, but fierce in their conviction. And from that moment on, each side believes the other stole the soul of Islam. But the real wound, the one that never heals, comes 48 years later. 680 CE, the plains of Karbala, in what is now Iraq. Ali's son, Hussein, the Prophet's own grandson, refuses to recognize the legitimacy of the ruling caliph. He knows it's suicide. He marches anyway. 72 followers, men, women, children, facing thousands of soldiers. They're surrounded in the desert. No water, no escape. For days, they're trapped in the brutal heat, watching their children sink. Today, they make up 85% of more than 2 billion Muslims. The Ali supporters become Shia Muslims, the party of Ali, a minority, persecuted, but fierce in their conviction. And from that moment on, each side believes the other stole the soul of Islam. But the real wound, the one that never heals, comes 48 years later. 680 CE, the plains of Karbala, in what is now Iraq. Ali's son, Hussein.
So this happened. This thing that is about to this thing that he's about to describe, which is someone not supporting a caliph, right? It happened 48 years after 48 years after Muhammad, right, died. Yeah. So it's not 48 years later. In this recent times, yeah, in these recent times, it happened 48 years later, a millennia ago.
And the Prophet's own grandson refuses to recognize the legitimacy of the ruling caliph. He knows it's suicide. He marches anyway. 72 followers, men, women, children, facing thousands of soldiers. They're surrounded in the desert. No water, no escape. For days, they're trapped in the brutal heat, watching their children's lips crack and bleed from thirst. Then comes the massacre. Hussein is beheaded. His infant son is shot with an arrow while in his arms. His nephew is trampled by horses.
So we don't do all that because, quite frankly, we don't care, right? So let's see. There is nothing these males would not make into a conflict. You have the Uyghurs in China. There's a conflict there. You have the the caste system in India, there's a conflict there. You have the Hindus and the Muslims in India, there's a conflict there. You have the Christians and the Muslims for like literally ever, right? There's a conflict there, right? And now you have the Muslims and the Muslims in the Arab world. There's a conflict there, right? Oh, and then there is the Kurds and the whatevers, the Berbers and the whatevers, the this and the that. This male existence on this planet is a curse. It is the plague that the Bible talked about. Listen, I am not the best person. I am not the most affable person. I am not the most loving person, the most charming person. I barely ever make friends, okay? But do you know what I don't do? I don't start wars. See, this is what makes me a female. This is what makes me a female. I don't start wars because someone did this to me. I'll be mad about it, but I don't go starting wars. There's nothing these males won't start wars about. Look at the mobs. Look at the mobsters and the gangs. Do you understand why there's a gang war between them? Do you understand? Like, anytime that they're talking about gangs, there hasn't been a single time they don't talk about the gang wars. You understand that, right? The reason they can't stop talking about the gang wars is because these motherfuckers are busy fighting each other. They're not just fighting law enforcement. No, they are fighting each other. Even the ones who are friends with each other, before you know it, a minute flat, they're already enemies and fighting and fighting. These things are a curse on this planet. It is a plague. If you're telling me that, oh no, men are good, stop it. Stop it. Okay? Stop it. Did you guys hear the part? I can't remember if it was part of what, the preamble that this guy did, right? Which is that over a million people, I mean, in recent years, really, right? In the Iraq-Iran war, actually, we didn't get to that yet. We didn't actually get to that yet. But so there is apparently Iraq and Iran. I don't know which is which, but one of them is Sunni, one of them is Shia, right? And so there was a war with them, right? That ended in 1988. And in that war, 1 million people died. Now, do you think those were just the fighting men who died? Or do you think women were part of that? So they violence women when there's peace. They violence women even more when there's war. What other else could there be? They never stop violencing women. Now, do you want to tell me that these males from these Muslim worlds, that they somehow have a different Y chromosome when we see this very behavior everywhere else? Do you want to tell me that these males are a special kind, that the especially evil breed, when we see this very same behavior everywhere else, where every males are, everywhere males are, in every industry? every single industry, in every single country. These things, the same things are happening. If it's not because if it's not because somebody was supposed to inherit some the leadership of the Muslim religion, right? It's going to be because somebody's supposed to inherit somebody's money, or it's because somebody wasn't recognized as the leader of something, or it's going to be because somebody wasn't greeted because by this, or it's going to be because somebody's daughter wasn't married, or it's going to be because somebody's daughter was married, or it's going to be because somebody blinked, or it's going to be because somebody took a breath. Do you think? I need you to understand. Do you understand the reckoning, the Sean Combs Reckoning Netflix that just came out? Yeah. The reason 50 Cent released it, right, is because he is in conflict with Diddy. It's because he is in conflict with Diddy. These males are all the same. He didn't do it because he was a good person. He didn't do it because he was a good person. He did it because he is in conflict with Diddy. Because Diddy in his bid to be king of the rap industry, right? He had to raise over a lot of people, 50 Cent being one of them. He only did it. Let me tell you something. 50 Cent only did it not because he is a good person, but because he was one of Diddy's victims. And the reason now what that is important is that, right? If he had been, in the crowd with Diddy, he would not have been releasing this. You have to understand they are all the same.
The women.
Okay, so this conflict started 1400 years ago. And you have to understand that 1400 years ago, this thing did not happen to these people who are alive today. This conflict thing, problem thing, it didn't happen to the people who are alive today. You need to understand that. Do you understand how insane it is to be fighting a war where you were not even alive, where you were so far past, from being connected to it, but you're still killing people for it? You have to understand how evil this is. These people who are alive today, who are fighting these wars today, they were not even alive. This wasn't even like this was their grandparents, right? This is not even that. This is their ancestors from like so long ago that they probably won't be able to recognize who is who, are still fighting this war. These things are evil incarnate. And it really kills me that we have duplicated them so much that they number this endlessly across the freaking planet. A conflict from 1400 years ago. I need you to understand that the reason
Mohammed's own family are dragged in chains through the streets. For Shia Muslims, Karbala becomes the defining moment of their identity. Not just history, not just tragedy. A symbol of righteous suffering, of sacrifice against tyranny, of a wound that can never, will never be forgotten.
Listen to what they're fighting for. Listen to what they're fighting for. What? So they are basically trying to show you how the people today think of this conflict. I think that's what they're saying, what they're doing now, right? How they relate to this conflict and why it's still continuing.
While in his arms, his nephew is trampled by horses. The women, Muhammad's own family, are dragged in chains through the streets. For Shia Muslims, Karbala becomes the defining moment of their identity. Not just history, not just tragedy. A symbol of righteous suffering, of sacrifice against tyranny, of a wound that can never, will.
Wait, what? Okay, let's go over that again. Let's go over why the people today are still willing to kill over 1 million people. Let's go over that again.
Will never be forgotten. A symbol of righteous suffering, of sacrifice against tyranny, of a wound, not just history, not just tragedy. A symbol of righteous suffering, of sacrifice against tyranny, their identity. Not just history, not just tragedy. A symbol of righteous suffering, of sacrifice.
They are fighting, they're willing to kill over 1 million people today because it is a symbol of righteous suffering, of sacrifice and tyranny. Of a wound, what?
Against tyranny, of a wound that can never, will never be forgotten.
That's what they're fighting for. What they are fighting, what they're willing to murder people over. What they're willing to murder people over. Right? It's a symbol. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness, I can't stand this. They are willing to murder 1 million of their own people for a symbol. A symbol that doesn't hurt them. A symbol from 1400 years ago. A symbol from 1400 years ago. That is the flimsy nonsense that they believe is worth over 1 million of their people. And it's way more than that. I promise you. A symbol from 1400 years ago is what they think 1 million of their people are worth dying for. This is how little they value human life. And that is only possible if they are not human. I hate this so much. A symbol from 1400 years ago, where they were not even present. From 1400 years ago. These people don't even know what actually happened. No one alive knows what actually happened. The things that they think happened could have been lies for all they know. But it is worth people dying. And of course, the only reason you don't see women in this conflict is because women actually value human lives. To be killing it over something this trivial. A conflict from 1400 years ago, and it's still going hot. It is still going hot. This conflict has not abated. Look at the title, the civil war that is, as in it is ongoing. This conflict is still hot. It's crazy. The same thing with Asia. The same thing with Asia. All the other things that that happened in the past, right? All the things that happened in the past. All these Asians, the way they talk about it, especially the males, I've never even heard, women talk about this stuff, right? How Japan did this in the past, how China did that, and how they don't like China and this, how Korea did that, right? You can hear that they are willing to go to war for it. The only reason they're not is because diplomacy has been reigning. Because I think because the US pioneered a thing that's never been done before, which is diplomacy amongst countries. That is why we're not getting the wars breaking out every day like these males want to do. And the reason it's continuing to happen in Africa is because Africa is not part of the diplomacy thing. They don't have their own. And they're not part of the West diplomacy thing. And the Arabs are. The Arabs are pseudo in it, right? That is why they're now fighting every day like they want to. Because this is what they really are. Because this is what they really are. It is ridiculous to think that these males are human. It is ridiculous to think that, we need them. Nobody needs this. Let me tell you, it is better that you're not alive to have ever lived during this. It is better that you're not alive at all to have ever been one of those million people falling victim to this nonsense. Why would you be born only to be killed because of nonsense like this? How torturous an existence. It's evil. We're just gonna review just a
Symbol of
few
righteous suffering, of sacrifice against tyranny, of a wound that will never be forgotten. Every year, millions gather for Ashura, beating their chest until they bruise, crying out Hossein's name, some cutting themselves in ritual mourning, reliving the
I had to laugh because if I'm not laughing, I'll be crying. Beating themselves.
gather for Ashura, beating their chest until they bruise, crying out Hossein's name, some
guy from 1,000 million plus years ago. That's who you're beating yourself until you bleed for. And of course, these are gonna be males, because women don't do this shit.
cutting themselves in ritual mourning, reliving the injustice, renewing the vow. Never forget, never forgive. And that's where this becomes different from many major religious splits in history. This isn't like Catholic versus Protestant, where both sides at least acknowledge the other as Christian. In the most extreme corners, and those corners are growing, Sunni and Shia don't just disagree, they believe the other side has betrayed Islam itself. Sunni extremists call Shias Rafida, rejectors, Majus, fire worshippers, apostates, deserving death. Shia hardliners call Sunnis Nawasib, haters of the Prophet's family, Takfiris, those who wrongly excommunicate other Muslims. It's not theology, it's existential. For centuries, that hatred stayed mostly underground.
Yeah. The only option for us is to extricate ourselves from this plague. The only option for us is to extricate ourselves from this plague. And if you want to know how that will happen, contact me. If you are curious how that will happen, contact me. Thank you. That is it for now.